They told you financial literacy was about budgeting, maybe some debt management, a retirement account if you were lucky. But what if I told you the wealthy are playing a completely different game, one that uses tools most people don't even know exist? This isn't about working harder, saving more, or living below your means. This is about unlocking a system of wealth that was never designed to be taught in school. Today, we reveal it. Imagine two people standing at the edge of a forest. They've both been told there's gold buried deep inside. The first person is handed a plastic spoon. Just keep digging, they're told. So they do, slowly, painfully, one scoop at a time. Now the second person? He's handed a full toolkit, maps, metal detectors, a backhoe, even a team to help. Let's be honest. Most of what you've been taught about financial literacy feels underwhelming. You probably heard the basics. Spend less than you earn, avoid credit card debt, maybe set up a 401k. And while none of that is wrong, it's also not enough. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The people who are actually building wealth, real, generational wealth, aren't just following those rules. They're using a completely different playbook. One filled with tools and strategies that never get mentioned in school, in government programs, or in most online advice. The reason it feels like a lie isn't because financial literacy doesn't work. It's because you were only handed the surface level. And surface-level thinking creates surface-level results. We're told to save more and spend less, but no one teaches us how to see our money the way the wealthy do. And here's where the first real tool comes in, the cash flow lens. Not just tracking expenses or checking your bank balance, but viewing every financial decision through the lens of how it affects your monthly, quarterly, and annual cash flow. Rich people don't just ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "What does this do to my cash flow today, tomorrow, and 5 years from now?" Think about it. Middle-class earners might buy a car outright to avoid debt, but a wealthy investor might lease the same car through a business expense, preserve their capital, and reinvest the difference into a cash-flowing asset. Same car, radically different outcome. Why? Because one person is focused on cost, while the other is focused on flow. When you start using this tool, you begin to see opportunities where others see limitations. You realize that some cheap things are incredibly expensive because they kill your momentum. And some expensive investments are actually affordable because they generate more flow than they consume. If you've ever felt like you're always behind, even though you're following all the advice, you're not crazy. You've just never been given the lens to evaluate your decisions like the wealthy do. This is one of the core insights behind the financial literacy tools the wealthy use, but you're never taught. It's not just about money, it's about the motion of money. Now that you understand the lens, let's move into a tool that the wealthy use almost religiously, but most people fear it: calculated leverage. And no, this isn't reckless debt. This is how fortunes are built without waiting 40 years. If there's one word that scares most financially responsible people, it's debt. We've been trained to associate it with chaos, collapse, and shame. But here's what no one tells you. The wealthy don't fear debt, they leverage it, and they do it with precision, strategy, and clear upside. This isn't about maxing out credit cards or taking out loans you can't afford. This is about using calculated leverage to amplify returns and accelerate momentum. Let's break it down. Imagine you have $50,000. You could put it all into one investment, say a rental property, or you could use that money as a 20% down payment on a $250,000 property. Now you control an asset 5 times larger, benefit from appreciation, cash flow, and tax advantages, all while preserving liquidity or using the rest of your capital elsewhere. That's leverage. It's the tool behind almost every real estate empire, every venture fund, and every generational fortune. But here's the trap. Most people were raised to believe that all debt is bad. so they never even consider this path. They miss out on wealth because they cling to safety myths taught to the middle class. Now, to be clear, leverage without education is a disaster. But leverage with financial literacy, it's a force multiplier. And this is why this concept is front and center. Because if you never embrace leverage wisely, you'll always be playing with limited tools in a game that demands more. Moving forward, let's explore one of the most overlooked and misused financial tools in modern history, the retirement account. You've heard of it, but have you truly understood its hidden power? Let's find out. When most people hear retirement account, their eyes glaze over. It sounds safe, distant, and honestly, kind of boring. But here's the truth. The wealthy don't just use retirement accounts, they weaponize them. They understand something the average saver doesn't. These accounts aren't just about someday. They're about strategy right now. Let's start with this. A retirement account isn't just a place to park money. It's a legal structure that offers massive tax advantages, and those advantages, if used wisely, can 10x your results. Whether it's a 401k, Roth IRA, SEP IRA, or solo 401k, each of these has its own rules. And that's the part they don't teach you. Because if they did, you'd realize you can shield tens of thousands of dollars from taxes every year and use those savings to grow faster than almost anything else legally available. And here's the kicker. Many of the wealthiest entrepreneurs, investors, and even YouTubers are stacking their contributions using backdoor Roth strategies or even self-directing their retirement accounts to invest in real estate, crypto, and private companies, not just index funds. Why? Because rich people know this. Financial literacy. Tools don't matter unless you understand how to use them, and most people are swinging a hammer when they should be using a laser. So if you've been putting off your retirement strategy thinking, it's too late or I'll deal with that later, stop. The earlier you take control of this tool, the more powerful it becomes. And yes, even if you're over 40 or 50, the window's still open. Now let's move into more fluid territory. Cash flow. Because even with the best tools in the world, if your income is rigid, you'll stay stuck. Let's explore how the wealthy keep their money in motion and how you can too. You've probably heard the phrase, cash is king. But here's the problem. Most people treat cash flow like a paycheck, fixed, predictable, and just enough to survive. The wealthy, they treat cash flow like a river, something that should move, multiply, and adapt to the terrain. This isn't just about making more money, it's about building income that can bend with life's changes, not break under pressure. In the context of the financial literacy tools the wealthy use, but you're never taught. Cash flow flexibility is the secret sauce most schools, courses, and gurus skip, because it's not as flashy as passive income or dividend investing, but it's the infrastructure that allows everything else to work. The wealthy prioritize dynamic income streams. Income that doesn't depend on clocking in, that can grow or contract based on opportunity, and that leaves room for pivots. This is why so many of them lean into businesses, royalties, rental income, consulting gigs, and scalable side projects. It's not because they're hustling 24/7, it's because they understand one truth. If your cash flow can't expand, neither can your options. And options are what wealth is really about. Most middle-class earners are stuck in what we call the fixed income trap. Their expenses rise, their lifestyle inflates, but their income remains rigid. And the worst part? No one shows them how to break free. That's why understanding the fluidity of cash flow is just as important as budgeting, if not more. So let's keep going. Because the next tool is one the rich guard like a family heirloom. It's not about earning or spending, it's about protection. And it might be the single biggest reason they stay rich, while others fall back into scarcity. Let's talk wealth insulation. If you've ever wondered how some people seem to bounce back from financial setbacks almost instantly, layoffs, market crashes, even lawsuits, here's your answer. They're insulated. Not by luck or privilege alone, but by a deliberate layer of financial protection that most people are never taught to build. This is the financial literacy tools the wealthy use. And what you're about to hear might be the most invisible, most misunderstood pillar of true wealth. Wealth insulation means more than having savings. It's a combination of smart legal structures, strategic diversification, and emotional distance from financial panic. The wealthy don't just hope for the best. They create systems that shield their wealth from chaos. They use trusts, LLCs, and tax-advantaged accounts not as vanity plays, but as firewalls. They build emergency funds in multiple currencies or assets, not just cash in a single bank. They understand insurance not as a sunk cost, but as an asset. And most of all, they prepare mentally. Because when the market drops or a business fails, panic is expensive, but preparedness, that's priceless. Most people are taught how to earn, maybe how to budget, but never how to protect. The moment they hit $20,000 in savings, they leave it in a checking account or spend it. No insulation, no plan, no shield. And when the storm hits, they start from zero all over again. So why is this tool hidden? Because financial institutions make more when you stay exposed, when your wealth is visible, taxable, and fragile. Now let's move forward. Because if this lesson was about protecting what you've built, the next one is about accessing what others won't even tell you exists. It's time to open a door that's usually closed: private wealth knowledge. Here's the truth. Most financial literacy courses, books, and even YouTube videos scratch the surface. They teach you how to budget, save 10%, maybe invest in an index fund, but there's an entirely different curriculum, an invisible syllabus, reserved for people who already have money. And unless someone opens that vault for you, you'll never even know what's missing. We're still inside the financial literacy tools the wealthy use. And this lesson is about the knowledge that never trickles down. Because it's not that the rich are smarter, it's that they're trained differently. They're taught how to move money like energy, through trusts, foundations, offshore structures, credit shields, and advanced compounding vehicles. They're mentored on how to use insurance as a wealth multiplier, not just a safety net. They learn how to set up investment accounts that grow tax-free while borrowing against them for liquidity. This is the kind of information that isn't just hard to find, it's deliberately kept opaque. And why wouldn't it be? If everyone knew how to shield their income, compound with leverage, or generate tax-free growth, the financial institutions and tax systems would lose their most obedient customers, the middle class. But here's the twist. In today's world, this knowledge is no longer unreachable. It's just poorly distributed. And part of our mission on this channel is to flip that, to make elite strategy visible to everyday people. Because the tools exist, the challenge is access. Now, let's pull this all together. You've seen the traps, you've seen the tools. Now, what do you do with all this? Let's wrap with a new definition of wealth, one that finally includes you. Let's bring it home. If you've been following this far, you've probably felt a shift, a quiet but undeniable moment where you realized, wait, maybe it's not me. Maybe it's the system I was trained by. And you'd be right. Because these financial literacy tools the wealthy use aren't hidden behind intelligence. They're hidden behind misdirection. Most people are taught to chase money, not build frameworks. To measure wealth in dollars, not in time, control, or peace of mind. But when you start learning what the wealthy really do, how they automate income, use entities for protection, multiply wealth through access and networks, your whole worldview tilts. It stops being about saving pennies. It becomes about controlling the flow of value. So here's your pivot. Stop asking, how much money can I make? And start asking, how do I think like someone who never runs out? That shift is where true financial literacy lives, not in learning how to spend less, but in learning how to design more. More leverage, more options, more alignment between your money and your life. Now, don't feel overwhelmed. This isn't about mastering everything overnight. It's about seeing the matrix for the first time and realizing you can step out. If you've been stuck in the traps we covered, it's not your fault. But now that you know, it is your responsibility. If you found value today, I highly recommend watching my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, feel free to leave your comment below, especially if this video made you think differently. I appreciate your support more than you know. Until next time, stay sharp, stay sovereign, and above all, stay moving. See you in the next one, Money Magician.